Welcome back to Wiser Together. My name's Shane Farmer, and congratulations on making it to the fifth and final session on faith and friendship. If we're honest, we would prefer for the Inner Circle small group community around us to be more than a structured once-a-week gathering. Most of us would want this group of people to be our friends. And this week, we're going to be learning about how to cultivate deep and lasting friendships that have significant impact on our faith. My challenge for you this week is to really share with the group the things that you might be tempted to keep secret. Last week we learned all about the importance of creating a safe place for people to share what's really going on at a heart level. And the best thing that you can do to encourage honesty in your group is to be honest yourself. This doesn't mean spilling your guts about your darkest secrets. It means asking for prayer in an area of your life where you're genuinely struggling. And when people share personal things like this, the group's response is crucial. Your group should be a safe place to tell the truth about yourself. So anything shared in the group stays in the group. Nobody discusses it with outsiders. Also, before we get into our study, we want to talk about what's next. If your group was formed just for Wiser Together, then each of you committed to spending 5 weeks together. And your presence here shows that you have kept that commitment. And there's absolutely no pressure to do anything beyond what you've committed to. However, many of you have found this group helpful. You've learned some things and deepened some meaningful relationships. So we encourage all of you who can to continue on for another study. Now make sure you find out from the group who plans to continue, what day or date your new study will begin, and feel free to take a couple weeks off if holidays are conflicting or whatever. And also, decide as a group if you want to invite anyone new into the group. Inviting new people should generally be a consensus decision between all the members, but you can decide how you want to approach that. And finally, make sure you've decided which next step study you're going to do together. Have a plan for how to acquire the needed materials. And whether you're continuing on as a group or not, I would also encourage you to have a final gathering just to celebrate the end of your journey. Get together for a dinner, make it informal, and just have fun with your group and their families. After all, as we're about to hear, it takes investment in the spaces between small groups in order for your group to grow into real friendships. So let's pull out all of our guides and follow along as Pastor Bill Hybels teaches us about faith and friendship.
At our family company when I was growing up, it was a produce company. Whenever my dad wanted to have a real strategic talk with someone, he would take them into the banana room. Now, this was a temperature-controlled room that was absolutely soundproof. He'd walk out in the warehouse area and he'd tell the foreman, "Let's go in the banana room." And all of us would freak. We'd go, "Oh my gosh, he's taking someone into the banana room." And whenever he had a talk in the banana room, it was really important. Now, it feels to me like I've got to invite all of you into the banana room right now, if you're willing to come with me. I have seen so many spiritually minded, intelligent, well-meaning people search with a vengeance until they find the right doctor, the right dentist, the right accountant or lawyer or tennis pro, while at the very same time remaining quite passive, unmotivated, and almost seeming to me uninterested when it comes to a diligent search for those quality people with whom they could walk closely for the rest of their life. This has never made sense to me. I don't understand it. I hope I never will. Do you understand, beyond your immediate family, close friends are the ballgame for your life? Close friends will add more joy and insight and wisdom and safety and counsel and general enrichment to the quality of your life than any achievement or possession or position you might rise to. In my humble opinion, life loses about half its meaning when you're not doing it with close friends. What good is a birthday without close friends to share it with? What good is an anniversary or graduation or a promotion without friends to share it with? For heaven's sake, what good is a dining room or a backyard deck or a guest room, a cottage or a boat for that matter, if you don't have some close friends to share it all with? Proverbs 18:24 says, "A man of many acquaintances may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother." This proverb essentially says that you might be a social butterfly for that matter, But without authentic, deep, and lasting friendships, you've got basically nothing. Now, you can have a friendship that is not in your small group, of course, and you can have a small group without any close friends in it. For the last 4 weeks, we've talked about how to do a group right when you gather. If we just stopped here, you should be able to be on your path toward knowing how to form a good small group. However, there's one more component that turns a good small group into one of the most treasured parts of your life. This brings us to the topic we're going to be exploring together in this 5th and final week. Can a group be more than a tidy little church group? Can it be more than a formalized weekly meeting? Can it actually become a gathering of friends? I'll cut to the chase. To be in a small group is better than not being in a small group at all. However, to be in a small group with friends is exponentially more rewarding than simply being in a regular small group. A small group that does nothing other than meet for its regularly scheduled 2-hour weekly meeting is still going to be very helpful to your faith. Right now, that may be your only option. And again, I repeat, it's better than nothing at all. However, a group will never become a circle of friends that way. There is certain stuff that has to happen in a group in order for friendships to really form. And all that friendship stuff happens in the space between groups. I want to talk to you about that space between stuff in this last session. How do you form incredible friendships in the space between? Proverbs 17:17 says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity." If someone is going through a job loss or an unexpected illness or a death in the family, there's a unique need and opportunity there. If someone in your group is in a spot like this and you simply show up to group for them, it matters. That's better than not being in a group with them. However, friendship will only form if you go beyond what is expected in a time of adversity. There's lots of ways that you can do this. Show up at the wake. Send a text telling them that you're thinking about them, you're praying for them, you're pulling for them. Set up a breakfast, a coffee, or a lunch or dinner to give them some extra time and space to process things one-on-one with you. Don't settle for simply saying to someone, "If I can do anything at all for you, please just let me know." Almost no one is going to ask for something. Going beyond expected requires you to take the initiative, for you to go out of your way and to do something that was not asked for. The second insight on navigating this space between meetings is really simple. Do your normal routine together. If you want to grow your friendships with those in your group, ask them to join you in doing what you would do anyway. After all, friendships emerge best out of sharing an interest in something you both really enjoy. This could be, for example, both of you doing your family shopping trips together, or going to the gym to work out together, having a meal together, engaging in a hobby together, attending an event together, driving somewhere together. What about doing your daily devotion or quiet time together with someone else in the group? Now, I know this is primarily a private space in our lives. However, what if you did your scripture reading or your Bible study even one morning a week and included a friend or friends? What is already in your schedule that you're doing alone that could be done together? One thing I like to do is simply take walks. Over time, I've invited so many people to join me, I kind of view walks as a relational experience. Rarely is the destination important at all when you're taking a walk. What walks are usually is about the sharing of thoughts and feelings in a relaxed, unhurried fashion with someone you really want to be with. So when someone says, "Hey, let's go for a walk," usually that's just code. It's an invitation into community. It's an invitation for you to open up your heart to them, and maybe for them to open up their heart to you. Some of you carry some very fond memories of walks with certain family members or friends. Some of you will remember certain walks the rest of your life because something so significant happened on one of those walks. Maybe you worked out a conflict. Maybe you made a commitment to each other. Maybe you bonded together in some very significant way. If you're wondering how to grow friendships in your busy schedule, consider inviting someone to join you in what you already enjoy doing. And for me, that's often a walk. The third insight on friendship is especially appropriate given the fast-paced culture that we currently find ourselves in. When we want something, we usually want it immediately. But building friendships doesn't always work like that. Like anything worth pursuing in life, You have to give it time to grow. In the early days of Willow, there was a guy who used to stop at the back of the theater to kind of shake my hand and thank me for the message. And he was 10 years older than me, and he was an engineer by education. We were quite different. One day he said, how about we do lunch together? I thought, wow, this is going to be a stretch. We went out to lunch together, and I found out we had some mutual interests, one of them which was playing racquetball. And because he was older than me, I thought I could clean him up pretty quickly. And we met at the racquetball court, and we had some ferocious games. And we would actually trade who won and who lost from time to time. After that, we started taking our wives out to dinner together. And we became just closer and closer friends. Pretty soon, I invited him into a small group in my home. And after that all ended, we just stayed friends. And that's been a 30-year friendship. At a certain point in the development of our church, I asked him if he would chair our board of directors. He chaired that board for decades, and then he retired from that position. He came to see me just a couple weeks ago. We were sitting in my office, and he still calls me Billy. He's one of the few people who do that. And he said, Billy, we've had quite a run together, quite a run. And we are still very different from one another. He's kind of a worrywart and all the attention to detail. I'm a little more of a take-a-risk kind of person and fly above some of those things. But I looked across my desk and I thought, man, what God has forged together between me and this guy over decades. I'm glad I let that relationship grow and mature over time. I'm glad I took a risk and said, well, maybe lunch, maybe racquetball, maybe in a small group, because it's actually led to one of the closest friendships, one of the most endearing and enriching friendships of my life. Finally, keep in mind that all close friends fight. What brothers and sisters have never fought? What family has not had arguments or disagreements? And I'm not talking about fist fighting or name calling. I'm just talking about normal friction, normal conflict. This stuff happens. Friends are not those who never disagree, but those who don't run away from each other when conflict happens. If you have someone in your life who you've gotten into a conflict with and they still didn't leave you, you know that that will be a friend who will stick closer than a brother. When a conflict comes, I repeat, don't bail. Conflict is often the gateway into even a deeper level of community. The final insight on how to navigate the role of friendship and small groups is that you should be a friend before you seek a friend. In Mark 12, Jesus' disciples gave us a great example of how not to do this. James and John, members of the inner circle, wanted to leverage their close relationship with Jesus to secure a permanent insider position where they would be secure, remaining closer to Jesus than the others would have opportunity to. Understandably, the rest of the disciples were angry when they heard about this. After all, they already knew that they were not in the inner circle, and now it was just going to be underscored before them. The way Jesus handled this rather tumultuous situation is incredibly wise. He silenced their request, and he told them it is not good to seek to be on the inner circle. Instead, he told that they should seek to serve each other, to be a friend to others, and then let God sort out where they get placed in the social circles around them. He told them that sometimes you will be on the inside group and sometimes you will not. That's just the way life works. And this is just as true for small groups today as it was with the small group of the disciples that surrounded Jesus. Certain members of a small group will spend lots of time together in the space between when the group meets. There will be weekend dinners and family play groups, even maybe some vacations together. And when this happens, the uninvited members will feel left out. This is just a normal thing. It's human nature. It might create some healthy tension for the group to navigate. Unlike Jesus' disciples, the close friends must be sure not to flaunt their friendship in front of the others. They must seek to befriend those who feel like they might be on the outside, while at the same time not feeling pressured to invite them to every gathering they have. And those without a close friend must learn to be grateful for the relationships that they have within the group. In doing this, all group members can seek to be a friend to others more than they seek friendships for themselves. I've heard it said that if you want to travel fast, travel alone. But if you want to travel far, travel together. As we've looked at today, Proverbs gives vivid instructions on how to travel far together in a reliable, trustworthy friendship. As we've discovered, quite often, this journey of friendship takes the path of small groups. These groups are enhanced by the friendships within them, and the friendships are enhanced by the experience within the small group meeting. Both are critical expressions of how God calls us to be wiser together. And how we navigate the space between group meetings is critical to helping both friendships and small groups be used by God to grow us in our walk with Him. I can't imagine what my Christian walk would have been like without the wisdom, care, and times of joy and celebration that I've shared with others on my journey. My personal experience confirms in spades what the proverb says over and over again, that we are truly wiser together, and that we simply cannot grow how God wants us to grow unless we commit to doing it together. So as we wrap up this 5-week study on what it means to journey together, I want to give you 3 ways to continue on in this journey. First, commit to being in a small group. Now, each of you have only committed to the group that you are currently in for 5 weeks. I understand that. And each of you should feel free to let this be the end. No one should hassle you too much about it. However, circumstances aside, I do hope that this isn't going to be the end of your group. Perhaps another study would be a great next step for you guys. Second, commit to regular time in prayer and in Bible study. Many of you got on board with these daily devotionals where you read a chapter in the Bible every day, reflecting on that chapter and then responding by applying it. Keep after it, gang. The investment that you make each day in putting God's truth into your heart will reap dividends over and over again in your life. Lastly, commit not only to your own pursuit of community, but to helping others get connected as well. Get involved at church. Serve within a community. Serve in a small group or in a connections ministry. Can you imagine if church became a place where no one even sat alone, much less lived out their faith alone? The vitality of the church and your life would go through the roof. And remember, there's only one way this happens, and that's together.